Okay, perfect. So I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing. I want to thank you for joining me today. What I'm going to cover is how to narrow your target market to increase leads and sales. So that hopefully this won't happen all the time, but most of the time you can work with clients that you love working with and that you get great results for. So we've got about an hour today. I'm going to run through a lot of information, but I'm going to make this as easy as possible to understand so that you can actually implement and start using this within your business. If you have questions, post those in Q&A. So down at the bottom, there's a little Q&A. Just post those in Q&A, and I will make sure that I get to those at the end here. So let's jump into it. My goal is to give you at least one or two things that you can take away. If you try to focus on too many things, I don't think you'll do any of them. So let's focus on one or two things that you can use to improve your business. If you can do that, the hour that you spend with me here today is going to be well worth that. So I always like to define marketing to make sure that we're on the same page. Okay, to me, marketing is getting someone who has a need or a problem you can solve to know, like, and trust you. The job of our marketing is to find those people we can help, get them to know us, like us, and trust us, so that when the pain that we solve for them is great enough, they raise their hand, they think of you first, and they reach out. Okay, that's what we want our marketing to do for us. Now, real quick, Cliff Note version of me, just so you know who the heck I am and why I'm doing this. I'm not going to spend a ton of time, but I think having some context as to why I'm showing you this, I think is super helpful. So real quick, I was born here. I grew up here. I love this, and this as a kid. All of this was during. When it was time to go to college, I wanted to do this. So I went here, but I couldn't stand being in this every single day. So I transferred here, majored in, after, became a partner in a wholesale distribution company selling this kind of stuff. We grew like this for over 10 years. It was all I could do to hold on until we did this. Along the way, checked an item off my bucket list. Shortly after that, we checked another item off our bucket list and went here. 2008, we moved here to Starta. Here we are a year later. Shortly after, we had our first little girl. Another 18 months later, we had our second little girl. Meanwhile, I was selling these for a living, which made me feel like this every single day. So decided to shift gears, started a company offering two so they can, and that's why I'm here. Okay, so marketing, it all comes down to the fundamentals. That is where success starts with marketing. And it all starts with your target market, having a clear, engaging message to that market, and having a plan of how you're going to get that message in front of those people. I love this quote from Michael Jordan where he said, get the fundamentals down and the level of everything that you do will rise. Marketing success is all about getting those fundamentals in place. We can't skip them. If we skip them, we are going to run into issues, and inevitably we're going to waste time, we're going to waste money, and we're going to have to come back to them. And it all starts with your target market. So I'm super glad that you're spending some time to go through this today. I think you'll find it super helpful, because without your target market, your marketing is a crapshoot. It has to start there. So what are we going to talk about? I'm going to talk about, one, what makes a great target market. I'm going to show you the process that we use for our business, for our clients, in defining your ideal clients, how to find them. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the customer journey and what that is and why it's important. So first off, what makes a great target market? One, are there enough people that fit the criteria, right? So if you've honed in on who your target market, who you think your target market is, and that group is not large enough for you to do the amount of business that you need to do, then it's probably not a great target market, right? If I've honed in and I've really narrowed down my target market and there's 100 people, look, that's probably not enough for most people, because you're not going to be able to sell all 100 of those people either. So it has to be a large enough market. What that exact number is, it's going to vary, but you just need to have a general idea of how many people fit that criteria. Is it 10,000? Is it 1 million? Right? Is it 5,000? What is that number? And based on what your goals are and how much business you need to do, you can then make a choice of, hey, is this market big enough? Second thing is, will my ideal clients really benefit from what I'm offering, right? Will they see the need for it? You may have a great product or service, but if your ideal clients don't see the value in it, they're never going to buy it. No. Three, can they afford it? Okay, if they can't afford it, right? If the market's big enough, if they see the value in it, but they can't afford it, well, then you're gonna hit a roadblock there, right? So we have to make sure that they can afford what we're doing. And then the last thing here is, can you reach them? Are they easily accessible? Right? So when I first started Rialto marketing, we were actually selling mobile applications into the K-12 education space. We were reaching out to school principals. Okay, they are readily available. They are easy to find. It's easy to get their contact information. We had no problems getting in front of those people. If you've determined that it's a large enough market, that they see the need, that they have the money, but they're not easy to get in front of, you're just going to be pulling out your hair. So a great target market will match each one of these. Okay, if you can say yes to each one of these things, then I think you've honed in on a good target market. Okay, so keep these questions handy. Now, once we've honed in on that, we've got a good target market, we need to define who our ideal clients are within that target market. If I'm working with, service-based businesses or coaches or consultants or whatever it may be, not everybody that is a service-based business or a coach or consultant is going to be an ideal client. So we need to hone in on what makes an ideal client for us. And this slide talks about everyone is not your customer. It's too broad, right? I think a lot of us make that mistake early on where, hey, do you have money? Are you breathing? Are you willing? You're willing to pay me? Cool. Let's do this. And we find out that not everybody that's willing to pay us, that sees the value in what we do, is going to be a great client for us. So we really need to hone in on that. So why should we define who our ideal clients are? One, it gives us focus and direction. It helps us direct our sales and marketing to the right people. Because if our sales and marketing is just scattered and we're attracting leads that aren't really the right people, we're wasting time. We're wasting time, we're wasting money, we're not going to convert those leads, right? But when we know exactly who we want to reach, we know exactly what needs to happen from a sales and marketing standpoint to get in front of those people. And when we attract the right people, one, we're gonna generate more leads, but we're gonna convert more of those leads because we're attracting the right people to our business. It's easier to create messaging that attracts those people too, right? Because if we know who our ideal clients are, we understand exactly what they're like, what their problems are, and how we can uniquely solve the problem that they have, our messaging can be that much better. And as a result, we increase profitability, we increase referrals, right? We're working with and attracting the right people that are profitable, that we do great work for. They're naturally going to refer us. They're naturally going to want to continue to work with us. And we can also make better business decisions because when we look at, hey, should we make a shift in our product mix? Should we add a service? We can look at our ideal clients and use them as the measuring stick. Will our ideal clients find value in us doing this? Yes or no? If it's no, then great. You don't do it. If it's yes, cool, then you can look at it. But you can use your ideal clients as a measuring stick to make better decisions within your business. So a common misconception that comes up all the time when we talk about narrowing who your ideal clients are. If I niche down, I'm going to lose business. And what really ends up happening is the exact opposite. You end up attracting more of the ideal people and you convert more of those people because you understand them. Your messaging is clear and engaging to those people and you can do more business with those people. The other thing too is I'm not saying these are the only people you're going to do business with. I'm simply saying that these are the only people you are going to spend time directing your marketing efforts towards. you're gonna get referrals for people outside of your ideal clients. And that's okay. You can make the choice of whether you want to work with those people. But you have to narrow your marketing down because look, as small businesses, we don't have unlimited budgets. Larger companies, whoever it may be, right? Coke, Pepsi, Amazon, they have large budgets. They can afford to market to a much broader audience. We can't. We need to narrow that down and get that focus. So, how do we define your ideal clients? 3 steps. Okay, we don't need to overcomplicate this. We're going to brainstorm, we're going to research, and then from there, we're going to create our ideal client profiles. Okay, I call them ideal client profiles. People call them, your avatars, your buyer persona. It's all the same thing. Most businesses have 1 to 3 ideal client types. Remember, I'm not saying these are the only types of people you're going to do business with. But they are the only people you're going to direct your marketing efforts towards. If you start to go over 3, it starts to get too broad and you're going to lose focus and direction. Okay, so we want to niche down, right? So there's an example down here at the bottom of the slides, right? I'm focused on working with people in real estate. I'm niching down to real estate investors, specifically people that are flipping homes. Okay, that's niching down. Right? Because the needs, right? The messaging, what I say to somebody that is a real estate flipper may be totally different than somebody who is a buy and hold real estate investor. They own apartments or they own rental homes, right? The messaging for those 2 people is different. Okay. So step 1 in brainstorming, I call these the 3 power questions. It is the easiest place to start. If you have been in business for a while, you have past customers, you have current clients that you can look at as you ask yourself these questions. Okay, so the 3 questions I want you to ask yourself. 1, who do you enjoy working with? Why do we want to spend our time working with people that make our lives difficult, that aren't fun to work with? Okay, there's just no point. You're not going to be happy. They're not going to be happy. We need to work with people that we enjoy, that make our lives easier. So that's 1. 2, who are your most profitable clients? If you are going to stay in business, if you are going to continue to service customers, you have to be profitable. If you're not profitable, you're doing yourself a disservice and your clients. 3, who do you do your best work for? If you can work day in, day out with those people that you do great work for, that you can get results for, they're going to stay with you. They're going to want to do more work with you. They're going to want to refer you, right? So when you ask yourself these 3 questions, looking at past and current customers, what you end up with is a subgroup that you answered positively to all 3 of these questions. That is the group where you now start to dig into the demographics and the psychographics. The demographics of the people that are in that subgroup are the numbers, right? The numbers, what you look at is going to depend on, the type of business that you're in. Are you in business to consumer, business to business, right? But these are things like, how old are they? Do they have specific job titles? Are they in certain industries? Do they live in a certain geographic area? Do they have a certain level of income? Do they live in homes priced from, $1 million to $2 million or whatever that may be? Those are the demographics. The demographics help you start to gain a better understanding of who these people are, what they're like. The psychographics is helping you get in their head. What's the conversation that is happening in their head as it relates to what you do? What are their thoughts? What are their motivations? Like why do they want to work with somebody like you? What goals do they have? What are their attitudes? What are the results or the benefits that they're looking for? That's the psychographics. When you understand the psychographics, it helps you create your messaging so that you can enter the conversation that they're having in their head. And when you can do that, they're going to say, hey, oh my God, Tim's talking to me. He knows exactly the problem that I have. That's what we want them to say. You are talking to them. Another easy way to do this too is to just put down on a piece of paper problems, questions, roadblocks, results. Problems, brainstorm. What are the common problems that all these people have? What are the questions they have as it relates to what you do? Is this going to work for me? How, what is it like to work with somebody that, is a leadership coach or whatever it may be? What are the common roadblocks that they may have? I don't have enough time to do this. I'm not good at this. I'm not going to get it, right? What are those roadblocks that are going to prevent them from working with somebody like you? And what are the results that they're looking for? All of these things help you just get this brain dump down on paper, okay, so that you can start to understand who these people are. And inevitably, what happens when you look at that subgroup of customers that you answered positively to the 3 power questions and you dig into the demographics and the psychographics, 1 to 3 subgroups come out of that. Those are your ideal client types. Okay. So once you're done with brainstorming, now what we want to do is we want to research. And in research, we are confirming and validating the assumptions that we have made. Okay, we want to make sure that the brainstorming that we've done is actually accurate. And if it's not, in the research phase, we can make the necessary tweaks that we need to make. The first and the easiest place to start with research is interviewing your existing or past clients. Okay, and one of the things I'm going to give you all these tools. Okay, so don't feel like you've missed something. One of the tools that I'll give you today is a customer insight survey. The exact questions that I would recommend you ask are right on there. Pull it up, reach out, and talk to them. 10, 15-minute conversation, but the information you will gather from this will be invaluable, because as business owners, it is so common for us to have a really difficult time thinking about our business objectively. We can't see the forest through the trees because we're just so in it. Our customers can so often articulate our value and what we do well and what we don't do well. It doesn't make sense to not interview existing and past customers. So absolutely do that. If you do that one thing from this workshop, it will be worth the hour you spent here. I guarantee it. So where else can we go? Online, there is so much information out there. Okay, so even if you're starting from scratch, right? If you're starting from scratch, you're going to have to make some assumptions. You're not going to be able to ask yourself those 3 power questions, but you can still do a brain dump of what your understanding is, and then you can still do this research online. Frankly, you may not have clients to interview, but there are people in your target market that you can interview. So you could reach out to people and, on social, reach out to people that that are in your target market and interview them. So you can still interview people, although they may not be existing clients. But online forums, there's online forums for darn near every different vertical or industry. Go into the forums, look at what questions people are asking. You can ask questions of your own. Tons of information there. Answer sites like Quora or Yahoo Answers. If you've never been on Quora, you can pop in there. There are some super random questions on there, but there's so many questions. So if you just start doing a search for your industry, your offering, your services, you will start to see things come up and you can get all kinds of information from that. Surveys. I'm not a huge fan of surveys, but they can be done. The thing that I would tell you, if you're going to send out surveys to past clients or current clients, keep them short. Ask the top 3 most important questions that are going to help you get some of the information you need. Right? Nobody likes to get a survey and it's like, hey, can you answer this quick survey for us? We'd really appreciate it. And you start the process and you realize it's a 15, 20-minute survey. Nobody's going to do that. So if you're going to ask people to complete a survey, keep it short and sweet. If you do this, an easy way to do surveys is Google Forms. The great thing about Google Forms, 1, it's free. 2, you can connect Google Forms to Google Sheets so that all of your survey responses will just automatically populate into a Google Sheet, and it's a much easier way for you to just download and review the information. So Google Forms with Google Sheets is a great way to do surveys if that's something that you want to do. Social media, all kinds of groups on social media, right? On Facebook, on LinkedIn, there's people asking questions, right? So you can do hashtag searches on social media to see what people are talking about as it relates to your product or service. So social is a great place to go as well. Google searches. You know, a lot of times there are industry associations or larger organizations within the different verticals that are out there that put out studies or white papers, you know, or they've done surveys of their audience and they're putting out these white papers on their studies. So man, there's just tons of information within Google searches as well. Online reviews. If you're just starting, or you can't do client interviews, online reviews are a great place to do it. You can look at online reviews for competitors. You can look at your online reviews. Man, online reviews are a wealth of information about what did people love? What did they not? Why did they work with different businesses? You know, so if you're just starting out, you can look at reviews for your competitors and just read through them and see what people are saying. Tons of information you can glean from that. Last part of research is sometimes you don't have to do this, but some people will do this. See this oftentimes like in the startup space where they may have some money to do some testing with ads. And with ads, you can start to test different things. Test if you're not quite sure about different verticals. They run ads on Google or Facebook, testing different verticals, testing different messages, testing different offers to see what works and what doesn't, to help them gain a better understanding of which markets may make the most sense for them to focus on. Okay, but so all we're doing, we did our brainstorming. In the research phase, we're confirming what we came up with in the research phase, or in the brainstorming phase. And if we need to make tweaks, then we can make those tweaks there. And once we've made those tweaks, now we have identified our 1 to 3 ideal client types and what target market they're in. And then from there, step 3 is just creating your ideal client profiles. Okay, don't overthink this. The best ideal client profile or avatar is the one that you're going to use. Okay, and I'll give you some samples as well, but these are just a few examples that I wanted to include in the slide deck. Sometimes people get really in depth with these. Sometimes they keep them higher level. I just want you to find one that resonates with you and use it. Okay, the best one is the one you'll use. So do a search. Like I said, I'll give you some samples that you can use, but if you do a search for, ideal client profile templates or buyer persona templates, you'll see all kinds come up. Find the one that works for you and plug the information in. But in general, you're going to have mention of the demographics, mention of the psychographics, and just talk about what results are they looking for? What's the problem that they have? What are they like? Right? So for example, as a marketing company, right, we tend to work with service-based businesses, coaches, consultants, professional service providers, home service businesses, so contractors. Are all of those good people for us? No. If they don't see the value in marketing, right? So from a behavioral standpoint, from a psychographic standpoint, if they don't see the value in marketing and see the value in investing in that as a main component of their business, we can't help them. Right? So that's a really important identifier that we use as we have conversations with people that have raised their hand and expressed interest. You can do the exact same thing for your business. And that's why outside of the demographics, the psychographics, and those roadblocks, those questions that they have are all really good things to understand about your ideal clients. Now we've honed in on who our ideal clients are. We've got ideal client profiles for our 1 to 3 ideal client types. Now we can take that next step, which is finding where the heck are these people? Where are your ideal clients hiding? And this is not overly difficult once you've honed in on who those ideal clients are. So this is a list, okay? This is not exhaustive, but it's a pretty good list. Once you have your 1 to 3 ideal client types, I want you to create a list for each ideal client type that you have. Where do my ideal clients hang out? Where do they congregate, online and offline? Who already has a relationship with these people? So this can be websites that they frequent, forums or message boards that they're on. Are there specific influencers that they follow? Are there social media groups that they're a part of? Do they listen to certain podcasts or follow certain blogs? Are there email lists that they subscribe to? Do they subscribe to or watch specific YouTube channels? Are there associations or organizations that they belong to? What other businesses do they already work with? Right? Are there manufacturers, distributors, suppliers that they're buying from? The reason we're asking these questions is, these manufacturers or distributors or other people that are already calling on or have relationships with your ideal client types can be great referral partners, or joint venture partners. What magazines do they read? Do they attend specific trade shows or events? Right? Google is your friend here, okay? Google searches can uncover so much of this information. So I'm going to give you an example. When I was creating this slide deck, I just said, look, I'm just going to pretend that I'm targeting chiropractors. We're going to create our list. I spent 10 to 15 minutes doing this. Okay. So in 10 to 15 minutes, I had this list of 10 different things. If I had spent 30 minutes to an hour, I easily could have had well over a page of information. Okay. But what did I find in 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes? One, there's the American Chiropractic Association. I found there's an International Chiropractors Association. I found some manufacturers that sell products to manufacturers. Thule tables, Elite Chiropractic tables. Those were 2 that I found that came up. There was Chiro Web Forum, which is a forum for chiropractors. They're going on there. They're asking questions. They're interacting with one another. There was a Facebook group that I found, Forward Thinking Chiropractic Alliance. I found 2 different magazines, American Chiropractor and Chiropractic Economics. I found some trade shows, a couple of them. I found a chiropractic blog, Patient Media. I found 2 different influencers online, Dr. Ed Osborne and Jeffrey Langmaid. I found how many podcasts? I found a couple different podcasts that are catered specifically to chiropractors. Okay, so this is not difficult, guys. Like I said, I don't work with chiropractors typically, but I created the list for this presentation and I spent 10, 15 minutes doing this. And here's the list. I could have found a ton of others, but success starts with the list, because once we have this list, if I'm targeting chiropractors, now I have a list of places that I may want to be to get my message in front of that market. Okay, you're starting to see how this is starting to come together. We've spent the time putting together our ideal clients. We know who they are. We have the ability, we know them so well that we know what's going on in their head as it relates to what we do. And now we've put together a list of all the places that those people are. Does this mean that I'm going to immediately start going to every single one of these places? No, right? Because that's just overwhelming. We have to start, but we have a list and we can start to slowly check things off this list. So maybe I initially decide, hey, I'm going to join the American Chiropractic Association as a vendor member, and I'm going to start interacting with them. Maybe I can do workshops for the association for the members. I am going to reach out to a couple of those manufacturers to see if I can start to build relationships with their salespeople that are calling on chiropractors. And maybe that's the place I'm going to start. Or maybe I decide, you know what, maybe I want to put an ad in in the American Chiropractic magazine, right? Those are the things I'm going to start to do as part of my marketing plan to get in front of chiropractors. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. If you guys have questions as I'm rolling through this, like I said, pop them in Q&A. But these are not difficult things. This is simple, but it's not easy. Okay. It does take work, but it is simple to do. So I've honed in on my ideal clients. Okay. I know who those are. Who they are. I've created the list of where they are. Okay. So I have an idea of where I need to be to get my message in front of those people. Now, the last part of really understanding your target market is looking at what we call the customer journey. And the customer journey is the experience that a prospect has from the minute they think about working with a company like yours, all the way through buying and doing repeat and referral business. Okay, that's what the customer journey is. The way we look at this is we call it the marketing hourglass. This was popularized by John Jantsch over at Duct Tape Marketing. It makes a ton of sense to people because we're all familiar with an hourglass. The sand's at the top and it works its way down. And we look at 7 phases in the customer journey. There's know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and refer. If you remember at the beginning, it said the job of our marketing is to find those people that have a need or a problem we can solve and get them to know, like, and trust us so that they're then ready to take that next step. A lot of people look at the buyer's journey or the customer journey as a funnel, and it stops right at that buy phase. And I think the thing I love about looking at this as an hourglass is you have repeat and referral down at the bottom. Repeat and referral business is huge. It is super important. So if you look at the customer journey as a funnel, you may be missing those last 2 steps, those last 2 pieces, which I think are really, really important. So let's talk about this a little bit. Each one of these elements, right? Know is where people are becoming aware of your business. Okay, it's that first step. Like, right? We're just continuing that conversation, right? They know about us. We're continuing the conversation. They're starting to like us, hopefully, with the information that we're putting out. As we continue to put out that information and continue to build that, have that conversation, build that relationship, they begin to trust us, right? This is where we're establishing that credibility and that authority with potential customers or clients. Try is kind of an intermediary phase. It's can you do something to allow them to try before they buy? This is very easy, right? With certain products or services like software, people have 14-day free trials. That's a try offer. Or sometimes people give out free samples. That's a try offer. For somebody like me, a coach, a consultant, you can still have try type offers before people buy. That could be, free consultations. It could be a workshop like we're doing today. You're not buying, but you're getting an idea of what it might be like to work with us. Then there's buy, right? They're committing. They're ready to buy and they want to start moving on down the road, right? So people are buying. We need to maintain an excellent customer service through this process. How many of you guys have bought stuff from people and it's like, man, they did a great job. And once you signed on the dotted line, the wheels came off. You're like, oh my, it's like they just gave up. Sales over, we're good, right? That is a horrible feeling. We want to make sure that once they sign on the dotted line, that they continue to have an amazing experience. And then in repeat, right, we're encouraging people to continue to do business with us, to do repeat business with us again and again. And in refer, that's where customers and partners are referring business to us. Okay, so know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and refer. That's the marketing hourglass or the buyer's or the customer journey. So why do we want to, why does this even matter? Why do we want to look at the customer journey? One, it helps you optimize the experience that your prospects and your customers have. When you can understand what actions they're taking at each phase, what expectations they have, what their needs are at each phase, you can put things in place that are going to help them move through that journey, right? Wouldn't it be nice if you can move people quickly through know, like, trust, and try so that they can get to buy faster? You know, in some cases, you can do that, but you can only do that when you understand what's happening at each phase. You can address customer needs more effectively, right? If you know what the need is at each phase, you can you can put systems in place. You can start to do certain things within your marketing to meet those needs more effectively. And when we can meet those needs more effectively, we can help people get to the next step faster. We can identify gaps in our process. If we have gaps in our process, right? If we have a gap at try, people may be falling out of the customer journey at that point. That's not good. So when we can understand the process and map it and identify where we have gaps and plug those gaps, then we're going to keep more people in the journey with us. We can optimize lead conversion in our sales process as well, right? And just, again, I already touched on this. We can move people through the journey more efficiently and effectively when we understand what's happening. And that's always going to be a good thing. And we can make better business decisions from that. Because when you understand what the needs are, if you're not meeting those needs, you can identify what you need to do to meet those needs and start doing those things. So it's really, really important. So how do you do this? Again, this is not overly complex. There's 2 steps. In the first step, you're outlining the channels or the actions that a customer or prospect may take at each phase of the marketing hourglass. And I'm going to walk you through an example here, a theoretical example. Okay. And then in step 2, all you're going to do is start to outline, based on those actions or those needs or those expectations that my prospects have at each phase, what type of content can I create? What types of tools do I need to put in place, or procedures or systems or programs can I put in place that's going to meet those needs and expectations, that's going to help those clients or prospects that are at that phase and engage them to meet them where they're at? So what does this look like? And this mind mapping the hourglass is another tool that I'll give you here. It is just a way to help you brainstorm, right? So at each phase, it's starting to look at some of the different things that you could be doing to meet the needs or expectations that they have. So this is a great tool just to kind of get your creative juices flowing so that you can get some stuff down on paper. But here's a journey map example, okay? So on the left-hand side, I've just got the journey phase, right? Know, like, trust. Right column, customer actions and expectations. So what are they doing at that phase? To the right of that is what content, right? Content to engage and meet needs. What can I do or should I be doing to meet needs at that phase? And then on the far right, I've just highlighted where this typically falls from a department perspective within your company. Is it marketing? Is it sales? Is it customer service? So for example, at the no phase, right? Customers might be looking for referrals. They may be doing online searches. They might be taking advantage of going to events or they see an advertisement, or they're going to workshops or trainings, those types of things. So as a business owner, if my clients are doing that, well, what can I do to meet those needs? Well, maybe I'm going to take advantage of paid ads. Maybe I'm going to do Google ads or Facebook ads. If they're getting referrals, well, I need to network with people, right? If I want to show up in online search results, well, then maybe I need to focus on SEO. Now, in this, the last time I did this workshop, somebody asked me, hey, why are these elements bolded in this example? In this example, they're just bolded because that's what the client was focusing on at that point. So they had focused on networking and SEO and guest content contributions and speaking, but they hadn't started to get into some of these other elements that were in the list. And that's okay. All we're trying to do is just gain a better understanding of what are the things that we could possibly do to meet these needs at each phase. You can't do everything at once. You got to pick and choose. But this just gives you an idea of what you have at your disposal, and then you can start to focus. So at the trust phase, what are they doing? Customer actions and expectations. They're reading reviews, testimonials. They may be looking at awards or case studies. They may be, they may be starting to trust you because they're going to events and they see you speak, right? They're seeing people speak, those types of things. So what can we do to then meet those needs, right? We need to do speaking. We need to do webinars. We need to get some client testimonials. Maybe we need to put together some ebooks that we can offer to people that's going to help them and serve them. And that's going to help us build trust with that audience. Then we work down, right? Try, buy, repeat, refer. Try, buy, you'll see on the right here, that's moving from marketing into the sales process. And then repeat and refer is moving more into service. So you guys will have my slide deck so you can read through these. I'm not going to read through all these, but it does give you an idea of how you can work your way through and map the customer journey. It's just those 2 steps. Outlining what the prospect or customer is doing, what their expectations are and their needs are at each phase. And then in step 2, looking at what can you do to meet those needs and expectations. That's it. Okay, so this should be a good example. I hope you're starting to see how it's simple, right? It's not easy. You're going to have to go through and do the work, but you can do this. This can be done. So that's it, guys. We've got about 15 minutes. I'm going to walk through a couple things with you real quick, and then I'll jump into Q&A, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. But I hope you're starting to see how this all comes together and how you can start to hone in on your target market. If it's okay with you, I want to show you a couple tools that are going to help you take action. Okay, because if you don't take action, nothing's going to happen from this. So let me if it's okay with you, let me just take 3 or 4 minutes here to go through a couple tools. One, I told you that I would give you free stuff. So free stuff, I'm going to actually copy and paste this link in chat. Okay. So that you can take advantage of this. Let me just pop this in chat. Okay, cool. You guys should see that in there. When you click on that, it is simply a Google Drive link. Okay, what's in here? That customer insight survey, the customer journey map template that I walked you through, my slide deck. There are some sample ideal client profiles in here, the mind mapping, the hourglass, workshop recording. The last one's in here. As soon as we're done today, I'll load that one in here as well. But everything that I've touched on is right at that link. Okay, so you can just take advantage of it, use those tools to help you get started. Okay. Now, the second thing I want to make you aware of is if you jump into this and you're like, oh my God, I'm getting lost. I need outside eyes to make sure I'm doing this right. If you want to jump on a 15-minute call with me, get a free consult and help you push through roadblocks, or, if the interest is there and you want our help to help you do this, then we can talk about that. There's no pressure from me. I'm happy to jump on a call with you and just give you that free consult, give you those outside eyes to help you push through roadblocks that you're having. So I'm going to put that link in chat as well. If you want to take advantage of that, you certainly can. Again, there's no pressure from me, but I'd be happy to chat with you if you are running into roadblocks with this or any of your other marketing for that matter. So my contact info is here. We've got about 15 minutes left. So I'm going to pop into some of the questions. If you guys have more questions as we run through it, cool. If not, if we finish early, awesome. I did my job. I hope this served you well, and we'll get out of here early. But let me see what's in Q&A. So first question, goes from, So how does AIDA model differ from marketing hourglass? So AIDA is really, and I don't remember all the elements of AIDA, but AIDA is really more in regards to messaging and helping you understand your customers than the marketing hourglass itself. So they're really two different things. That marketing hourglass is focused on the buyer's journey. AIDA is about, and I'm trying to remember all the acronym from it because I don't remember it all myself. But it's about attention, and I don't. Adita, if you remember and pop the elements of AIDA in there, and I can speak more to that. But if I remember correctly, it's more understanding the problem that they're having and crafting your message around that. One of the workshops that I do fairly regularly is about messaging, and we use a storytelling framework for that, to do that. But going through this process helps you understand what needs to be in your messaging. So it's attention, interest, desire, and action. So what they're using, when you understand and go through that process of outlining what are they like, what the psychographics, what are the roadblocks, questions, results that they're looking for, you are starting to identify where, so AIDA is attention, interest, desire, and action. That's AIDA is helping you create messaging. So they're really two different things. Here's what I'll tell you. I love storytelling from a messaging standpoint, because all this stuff, the attention, interest, desire, and action, are built into the storytelling framework. So I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, ask me a clarifier, and I'm happy to dig into that more. But the marketing hourglass is not about messaging as much as it is understanding what's actually happening throughout the process, through the buyer's journey. Because when you understand what's happening, then you can start to create content and systems and policies, procedures, and marketing tactics that are going to help people move through that. Okay. So, awesome. So, that answered your question. Do you guys have any other questions that I can answer for you? I'll wait just another minute or so. If there aren't any other questions, then we'll pop off early. But are you guys seeing how this works and how you can work through this process? Anybody can do this. I've given you the tools that you need to do it yourself. But if you get stuck, which does happen, and you need outside eyes, just reach out and be happy to help you guys. But everything from a marketing standpoint starts with your target market. If you jump ahead of yourself, you're putting the cart before the horse. You have to understand your target market before you actually start. You can't create clear, engaging messaging without understanding your target market. And you can't create a plan of how to get the message in front of the right people until you know who those right people are. So super, super important. With that, it doesn't look like there's any other questions. So I'm going to let you guys out 10 minutes early. You can get on with the rest of your day. But I hope you got a ton of value from this, and take advantage of those free resources. Reach out if you have questions, and just keep your eyes peeled. We're doing these types of workshops to help you and serve you a couple times a month. So take advantage of them, reach out with questions, and I appreciate you taking the time, and hope it served you well. So take care, guys. Thank you so much. And have a fantastic day. And I do see one other question that's popping in here. So If you cater your services to different industries, for each industry, should we make a buyer persona? If they are distinctly different buyers, yes, you should. So for example, we have buyer personas for coaches and consultants, professional service providers, and home service companies. A lot of the challenges that they are having are the same, but they are somewhat distinct, and where you're going to go to reach, especially if where you're going to go to reach those people is different. I think you want to have a separate buyer persona for each one of those. So don't dig too far into the weeds on this, but if they're pretty distinct, I would have separate buyer personas. It doesn't mean that your messaging is going to be drastically different, right? Because if the common problem is the same for all of your ideal clients, then your messaging can be the same for those as well. So I hope that answers your question. If you've got more questions, just fire them off to me offline, and we can pop off from there. Let's see. Let me just make sure I've got. Yep. Awesome. Cool. Guys, if you have additional questions, reach out to me. But we've covered a lot. I hope you at least have an idea of those 1 or 2 things that you're going to focus on and start implementing from this call. Remember, the easiest one and the one you're going to get the biggest return from first, take the customer insight survey and interview 5 to 10 of your current or past customers. You will get tons of value from that, and then you can start to move from there. If you only did one thing, do that. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.